Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 54 of the Social Liability Podcast, the podcast where we discuss those folks in our lives that violate the social contracts that we all agree to live by. I am your host, the Raspberries, with my co-host, the Buck Rundle, bringing you new and interesting stories from the far reaches of the internet. Buck, how have you been?
I have been fantastic. Oh man. Been actually quite an awesome week. I've got the bucklings up. Got my kids.
The
That's
bucklings.
right.
That's awesome.
I don't know if they're gonna like that particular moniker because I just made it up, but I like it, and I think I might actually put it on a towel or two. But either way, they're here. And I also had a nice visit with a physical therapist because I started going to physical therapy.
Yay!
And so I go in there and they look at me and they're like, "Yeah, you're fucking bad." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a little rough. Got some gristle on me." And they're like, "So, that's pretty cool wheelchair." I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty hip." And they were like, "Well,
would you like a cooler one?"
We think that you might need something better. I'm like, "You're talking about getting me a hipper chair?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Whoa." Like, I already got a pretty awesome freaking chair. I mean, like, it goes 7 miles an hour. It's got a really comfy, like, super awesome seat cushion on it, but it's got no back support. So they are very concerned about this because I'm starting to look like the hunchback of my town in Virginia, and they want that to not happen. So they're like, "But we're gonna have to get your doctor to sign off on it." And I was like, "You know what? My doctor will write me a letter that get Ray Charles a driver's license." I was like, "Don't you even worry about the admin side of this. I got that all figured out there, bro. If you say that we should make it a go, then I will get my team of professionals, aka all my buddies named ologists, and they will enforce, write letters, and I will have said chair." And I can already feel it. The back support, the goodness, laying down flat. I'm already imagining like how I'm going to use zip ties and key rings to trick this new chair out. Like, it's going to be awesome.
Well, we did talk about your chair ever so briefly before the show started, and we did determine that you will not be having an OnlyFans page.
No. No. Unfortunately, no. There's a weight limit to these things.
Fair enough.
And it's 300 pounds as a weight limit. I weigh $180. I mean, like, I'm sure I could find a partner within the weight limit parameters, but it would be a very irresponsible use of this particular mobility aid. And I'm sure that caregiver Katie would have at least 3 questions.
I think there'd be more than questions.
I'm being nice.
Yes. Well, let's move on into our stories because this week we got a small number of them, but this is being reported by Local 10 News out of Florida. 2 men were flying to get tacos when small plane went down in the Everglades. I want to have the kind of money where I can fly somewhere for the perfect taco. Well, Jose Ikari says he and his pilot friend were flying from I don't know, somewhere in Florida, to Arcadia to grab some tacos on Tuesday when the engine of their small plane failed and they landed in a remote area of the Florida Everglades, miraculously unscathed. We were flying 2,000 feet and we had engine failure. We looked at each other and we were like, "We're alive. That doesn't happen very often." Sky 10 was over the scene before noon when the men were rescued near mile marker 55 on I-75. The men were seen walking around on the ground. Our cameras then captured a Miami-Dade fire rescue chopper hoisting the men into a helicopter at times using a harness. The Federal Aviation Administration says the single-engine Piper PA-32 made a forced landing on the highway in the Everglades, approximately 20 miles north of Ocho, Florida, around 9:50 a.m. We were going down, and we were trying to reach I-75, but we just couldn't make it. Fire rescue took the pilot back to the airport and brought Akare to a nearby fire control station where he reunited with his mother. The two embraced and discussed the scary moment when they thought that he wouldn't make it. People usually don't survive this kind of stuff, and the rate that we were descending, we were in a dive. I was thinking about my grandpa. He's up there and he will save me. He saved me today. Although terrifying, it truly makes for a Taco Tuesday tale that the two men were lucky to live to tell. Not a good day to get tacos, Enrique joked, though he and his mother said they still plan to get tacos later Tuesday. Okay, well, believe it or not, those planes actually crash quite often, and people survive them all the time. So it's not to diminish the fact that they were in a freaking plane crash, but they keep saying over and over again, people don't survive. Yes, they do. They survive those all the time. But just the fact that they were just going to take their plane and go to get tacos. I mean, that's the kind of like just disposable income I need in my life.
I believe they have a term for that, Raz, and it is white privilege.
These guys are both Hispanic. Don't you dare. Yeah, don't you dare.
You know, man, that is just. This just goes to show you that I got to pay a little bit closer attention.
So does your mouth now taste exactly like foot?
Oh, hell no. No. I mean, like, it's just one of those moments that you just got to turn into humor. Like, yep. You know, if I were to try to spin it around and be like, well, this is what I meant. No, I just wasn't paying the fuck attention close enough. Like, yeah, I'm just going to, like, if we got to admit to being a fuck up somewhere, I might as well just pull the pants right off of that one. But no, man, being able to just, like, fly and grab a taco, what a life.
What a freaking life.
Like, that seriously is a, it's really something that you could actually legit brag about. Like, that's not even like, you know, saying like, you know, somebody looks at you and is like, oh yeah, that's something to brag about. It's like, no. This literally is something to brag about. It's like, hey, bitch, if I wanted to, I could just hop my plane and go get a fucking taco. What do you think of that?
I knew friends up home when we lived in Pennsylvania. They would drive 2 or 3 hours to Philly for a cheesesteak, and I thought that was ridiculous. Of course, I hate cheesesteak, so, you know.
I mean...
That being said, I have driven an hour for a Waffle House before. Just saying.
Ditto. Hash browns, double order, diced, chopped, and covered. Thank you much.
Nah, just country style, man. Just country. That way they throw on the sausage gravy, and that's it. That's all you need. Waffle House hash browns with sausage gravy. Done. That's a meal.
Never had it with sausage gravy.
Yeah, that's country style.
Dude. I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Dude, that's one of the worst things about living down here now is I got no Waffle House. I got no Bojangles. My choice in a lot of places are somewhat limited. And like everybody in town's very excited right now because we're getting Chick-fil-A and a Starbucks sometime in the next year.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all excited about that. I'm excited just for the Burger King that we might be getting. You know.
Oh, wow. You are on the mildly less light side of the moon over there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were going to be thoroughly disappointed when you come down here for this fall.
I grew up in Berkeley Springs. I doubt that, you know, that wherever you are has something that's going to... Never mind. I'm not going to face... No. If I finish that statement, you will take that statement as a challenge. I am no longer interested. I'm sure you're right. I will be thoroughly disappointed.
But there's a weed shop on every corner, so you should be happy about that.
I'm not going to act happy.
Well, the next story we have is being reported by NBC News. Cincinnati police warning drivers to roll up windows after cicada causes car crash. Police in Cincinnati are warning drivers to roll up their windows during this year's cicada invasion after a man crashed his car when one of the insects flew into his face while he was driving on Monday. While we like to have fun on social media from time to time, this is serious. This evening, a young woman traveling on Riverside Drive drove through a large swarm of cicadas. One of them flew into the driver's compartment through an open window and struck him in the face. Now, is this a woman or a dude? Because it's saying both. But either way, this is a young person, and temporarily stunning him. He then crashed into a utility pole. Police say the man's car was likely totaled, but he was spared from serious injury because he was wearing a seatbelt and his airbags opened. Billions of cicadas have emerged from the underground for the first time in 17 years to take part in a noisy, month-long mating ritual. The periodical insects, also known as brood X, spent most of their lives underground, feeding on roots before tunneling to the surface to look for mates. Historically, each time they emerge, there have been several car crashes attributed to their presence. This year is no different. Remember to keep your windows rolled up until our little red-eyed friends are gone for good. I think my biggest problem with the whole thing is calling them our little red-eyed friends. They're not friends at all. I mean, I cannot stand these little bastards. They are some of the most annoying creatures on Earth.
Agreed. And let's just go right back into the article, and I will say this. You know, putting myself in the shoes of this person driving the car, if I were approaching a swarm of cicadas in my vehicle, I would not be worried about, crashing my vehicle, no matter how many of them. Like, a wall of cicadas would be somewhat intimidating, but I think my car could handle it. However, step fucking one upon seeing this would be window up. That would be like, I think that I would be more concerned with getting that fucking window up than I would be with actually staying within the lines on the road. If I were to see myself approaching a swarm, and then this lady only gets hit by one?
Well, one came in the window and got her.
Yeah.
Or him. I'm not sure which.
That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You're approaching a swarm of, like, nuisance insects, and you're going to just, like, gamble with your window down? Well, shame on you. No shit, you wrecked.
It's like walking into the flock of birds and wondering, maybe I should look up.
Or it's like, yeah, let me go approach this flock of seagulls with French fries in my pocket. Let's see what happens here.
Well, first, make sure you toss out tons of Imodium.
Man, if you ever want to have a party, make sure you invite Raz.
Box McDonald's French fries and a pack of an Imodium AD. We're in business, baby. Oh, my Lord. Well, the next story we have is from the Press Democrat. And let's see. A man with meth stuck for 2 days in fan shaft outside Santa Rosa. A man claims he spent 2 days in a fan shaft in an field outside Santa Rosa before he was rescued Tuesday morning. He was discovered on Piner Road near Boss Road around 8:20 a.m. after sheriff's deputies responded to a call about a suspicious vehicle parked in the area. After finding a hat on a piece of farming equipment, the deputy discovered a man inside the shaft of a vineyard fan, and firefighters were called to rescue him. He was identified as 38-year-old Santa Rosa man. The man indicated he liked to take pictures of the engines of old farm equipment. Sheriff's officials said in a Facebook post, after a thorough investigation, which revealed the farm equipment was an antique and the man had far more methamphetamine than camera equipment that motivated to climb into the fan shaft remains a total mystery. He had far more methamphetamine than camera equipment. Sergeant Juan Valencia said the man was capable of communicating with authorities. The sheriff's office said he needed medical treatment, but was expected to make a full recovery. Charges of trespassing and drug possession will be pursued, according to the sheriff's office. He is also facing allegations related to probation violations in an unspecified case.
Lovely.
I mean, you've experimented with recreational drugs. You ever just woken up someplace that you can't get out of on your own?
No. No. But again, I've experimented with some recreational drugs, and I will fully disclose that it's been like weed, hash, mushrooms, peyote. And I did LSD once. So as far as like my experience goes, it is not like as vast as others. So when you start talking about shit like meth and coke and ecstasy and things like that, like that's like hardcore stuff, man. I only swam in the kiddie pool. I don't, like I'm not really super experienced. So no, I personally have never put myself in a situation to where I would wake up in a space that I would not recognize. Like that to me, the thought of that even being a possibility has always been enough of a deterrent to keep me from doing stuff like that. But that's just me personally.
I've just never liked the concept of doing things that you wouldn't otherwise normally do because the drugs say that you're going to do them. And the fact that we both worked in law enforcement in various forms over the years, and I've seen what that kind of stuff can do. But this guy, he could have died, but he woke up inside of a piece of equipment and couldn't get out, and frankly, that's funny to me.
Oh yeah, and then he goes and tries to tell the cop, it's like, oh yeah, I got a thing for large equipment engines on farm stuffs.
Got a thing.
Like, cop sitting there like, a likely story. No. Sorry, dude. Try that one again. I'll tell you what. I'll give you 3 seconds to come up with something better. 3, 2, 1, go.
he better have been some stereotypical big ass Irish fella after that, because that's the only thing I can picture now.
It's like, yeah. Well, I mean, it's. If you're stuck inside of a piece of farm equipment, what the hell else are you gonna say? Like, there's not a lot of straws you can grab at. Like, at least the guy came up with something.
Well, he had plenty of time to think something up.
Well, I mean, like, it's better than the parachute didn't open and here I am. It's like, no, dude. No. At least he took a shot. And that's what's important here, folks. If you're going to be a social liability, at least give us something that we can go with that, put some sizzle on the steak. That's a great addition to the story. We get to hear his, dickweed, response, like, and so guess what he told the cop? Yeah.
I just want to take a picture of the engine, I swear.
Taking a picture of the engine, I fell in. It's like, you back into a tree. It's like it popped out of nowhere.
Well, in fairness,
about 100 fucking years ago.
In fairness, we did have a story last week of a guy falling inside of a papier-mâché dinosaur and dying. Just saying.
Yeah. But we can't get his side of the story.
It's true that. Well, our next story is coming from the Columbus Dispatch. GOP invited Ohio doctor Sherry Tenpenny falsely tells Ohio lawmakers COVID-19 shots magnetize people and create a 5G interface. Okay. In a packed hearing room in the Ohio State House, Republican lawmakers gave the microphone to a known conspiracy theorist who has spread information about COVID-19 vaccinations. Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, oh my God, she's a doctor, a physician licensed in Ohio and author of Saying No to Vaccines, shared her views promoting her credentials and fielded questions for more than 45 minutes during a House Health Committee hearing on House Bill 248. I'm sure you've seen pictures all over the internet of people who've had these shots and now they're magnetized. Middleburg.
So, whoa, real quick before you go on. Did it mention in the article how she was sporting the finest Reynolds Wrap headgear?
She did not. She did not have a tinfoil hat on, but she did have the Karen haircut. Just saying.
Oh my gosh!
You can put a key on their forehead and it sticks. You can put a spoon and forks all over and they can stick because they now think there is a metal piece to that.
Take a shower.
Most of the things you just mentioned are aluminum. They're not to begin with, you fucking quack. Oh, Jesus. Later, there was some show and tell. Joanna Overholt, a registered nurse from Strongville, defended Tenpenny's testimony and placed a key and a hairpin against her chest and neck. Explain to me why the key sticks to me. It sticks to my neck, too. So yeah, if somebody could explain that, that would be great. She said as the key failed to stick to her neck. Pictures of people sticking pennies and magnets to their arms have been debunked by scientists and public health officials. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued a bulletin last week clearing the air. All COVID-19 vaccines are free from metals such as iron, nickel, cobalt, lithium, and rare earth alloys, as well as any manufactured products such as microelectronics, electrodes, carbon nanotubes, and nanowire semiconductors. In addition, the typical dose for COVID-19 vaccine is less than a milliliter, which is not enough to allow magnets to be attracted to your vaccine site, even if the vaccine was filled with a magnetic metal. Tenpenny also mentioned the false claim that the vaccine contains particles that can connect to the 5G wireless network. There have been people who have long suspected there is some sort of interface, yet to be defined interface, which has been injected into those shots all over the 5G towers. House Health Committee Chairman Scott Lips said he allowed Tenpenny to testify at the insistence of State Representative Jennifer Gross, a Republican from Westchester, who is the primary sponsor of House Bill 248. State Rep Beth Liston, Democrat from Dublin, a physician with a PhD in public health, questioned Tenpenny during an interview, drawing out even more extreme positions. Oh God, it gets worse.
Oh.
Liston said the Ohioans deserve better. We are hearing testimony on a bill that will lead to outbreaks of disease, and our invited vaccine experts include a known conspiracy theorist talking about magnets and cell towers, along with her followers. The only benefit of this testimony is that it exposes who exactly supports House Bill 248, individuals with absurd and uninformed and dangerous beliefs. The testimony came in a third hearing on House Bill 248, which includes a wish list of items sought by vaccine opponents. Prominent testimony stretched on for 5 hours. Oh my God.
Wow.
We're going to give you these needles and you're going to become magnetized and become antennas for 5G networks.
All right, so my only question is what is the name of this vaccine and where can I get it? Because I want 5G. What the fuck, man? I want 5G.
You haven't got vaccinated yet?
No, well, I have been vaccinated, but I'll take it again if I can get 5G.
Yeah, the internet in your area sucks. So, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I mean, like, seriously, man, come on. Put it on red and spin the wheel. Oh, well, you shouldn't have too much vaccine. What, is it going to affect my ability to walk?
Oh, shit! Okay, right now we're taking a quick commercial break for those of you watching on YouTube. Just a reminder that if you have not liked and subscribed yet, you could please do so. That would be outstanding. It does help us tremendously. The podcast does not cost you anything. It simply is up here. There's no ads on our YouTube channel. If you listen to us on any of our audio networks, such as Spotify, Radio Public, Anchor, Apple Podcast, CastBox, anything of that nature, there's usually like one 30-second ad in there where we're advertising for Anchor. But it doesn't cost you anything. The only thing we ask is that you pay attention and tell a friend. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you could hit that like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell, that would help us tremendously, and we would be ever so grateful. Now, let's get back to the show. All right, Buck, our next story is coming out of KCCI Des Moines, Channel 8. And I haven't read this yet, as mostly I don't, but just the headline. The headline caught me. Mobile home community fed up with raw sewage, gunshots, and flying axes. Yeah.
Flying axes. That's the one. That's the linchpin of this story, man. That's what's getting their foot in the door here at the Social Liability Podcast, folks. You got a flying axe, you'll probably make the show.
Well, this is being reported out of Berwick, Iowa. Residents of the Sunnybrook Mobile Home Park say they've had to deal with raw sewage, gunshots, and flying axes with little help from the property management on site. Randy Attest reached out to KCCI about raw sewage flowing from the pipes and onto his yard. He said he had been dealing with the issue for more than a week. It's nasty, and I don't want to live like this. After KCII visited Sunbrook in the morning, they sent out a crew in the afternoon to fix the pipe, and they put the Attest family in a hotel for the evening. Neighbors of Attest say there's another list of issues they're not taking care of. Zach Sessions lives in Sunnybrook and said the roads are in such poor condition that people driving on them constantly scrape the bottoms of their cars. Haven Park Communities owns the Sunnybrook Mobile Home Development.
Oh, yeah.
I always called them the mobile home park or the trailer park. But this is a mobile home development.
Well, that's one step up from trailer park and one step down from a mobile home community. It's trying to upgrade. It's trying to step up. You know?
Is it though?
It's like the progression.
Is it?
You know what? They say you can't put lipstick on a pig. You know, this is one example where they're giving it their all.
Well, Sunnybrook Mobile Home Development said they are working on the roads starting in mid-July. Beyond that, Sessions claims that another resident was waving a gun in the air with children around. When he attempted to calm the man down, he grabbed another weapon. He grabbed a two-sided overhand axe out of his yard with the axe blades on both sides and overhead tomahawks it across the street at me. Sessions also has friends in the mobile home development who had a bullet ripped through their home over Memorial Day weekend. Savannah Lawson said a .22 rifle bullet was in her bathroom after piercing their bedroom wall and walk-in closet. What freaking mobile home has a walk-in closet? Just saying, there's some holes in the story here. They said they had filed a police report, but did not get any assistance from management on the property. Well, it's impossible to get hold of management. She still hasn't called me about the bullet hole. Sean King from Haven Park Community says he hasn't heard the bullet piercing a resident's home or the axe being thrown at another residence, but said safety of our residents is first and foremost. So a lot of that doesn't actually sound like it's the property management company's issue. It sounds like that's more of a law enforcement issue. You know, I mean, what do you want them to do? If your neighbor, yeets a freaking axe. Dear God, what was that? Just heard a big kaboom. Anyway, if one of my neighbors yeets an axe at me, I'm probably calling the cops long before I deal with, I'm going to call the landlord.
Yeah, I can see the raw sewage thing, calling the landlord about it.
The sewage in the roads. Okay, I got that. I understood that.
Yeah, but the other stuff, it's like, maybe you should call the landlord about it after the police have been notified. Like that's a good move.
Or maybe not. Maybe not live in a trailer park.
Mobile home development, Raz.
Okay. Yeah, maybe not live in the mobile home development then.
Face it, man. It's just a trailer park.
You son of a bitch. Have you ever lived in a trailer park?
Yeah, you remember when I lived there with Daryl?
Yeah, I do remember you lived in a trailer park. You guys drove the purple sparkle car and wore matching outfits. I remember.
But you know what? We listened to Billy Joel, and we had the windows down, and could not figure out why people thought we were gay. We just, neither one of us.
And
Neither one of
you were
us.
both wearing tight blue jeans and tight white T-shirts.
I've never worn tight blue jeans in my entire life, thank you. But they were blue. They were not tight.
Okay.
I will cop to everything else but that. That did not happen. Pixar, it didn't happen, Raz. Pixar, it didn't happen.
And then all of a sudden we're like, holy crap, Puck's getting married.
That was a huge shocker to a lot of people.
They're like, to a woman?
And it wasn't to Daryl.
I don't know. He might have been disappointed. He might have thought he had a good thing going.
A little bit. I am a great roommate. I am very supportive.
Well, this next story comes from Fox News. Retired nun to plead guilty to embezzling $835,000 from Los Angeles schools for her gambling habit. See what they did there? Habit, nun, bah. A retired Los Angeles nun will be pleading guilty to embezzling $835,000 from the elementary school where she worked in order to cover her gambling habits and other personal expenses. Mary Margaret Kruper, 39, was charged with one count of wire fraud and one count of money laundering on Tuesday and has agreed to plead guilty according to a release form from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California. Kruper had been taking a vow of poverty as a nun, working as a principal at St. James Catholic School in Torrance for 28 years, and allegedly embezzling the funds for 10 years until her retirement in 2018. The community of faith at St. James was shocked and saddened by these actions, and the parish, the school, and the archdiocese reported the matter and fully cooperated with the authorities in the criminal investigation. The Archdiocese of Los Angeles has reported discrepancies in school funds in 2018 to authorities, according to the Los Angeles Times. Kruper's lawyer, Mark Bain, said she was very remorseful over her alleged crimes. No, she's pleading guilty. They're not alleged anymore. Adding that a mental illness clouded her judgment.
I think she's only sorry and so remorseful because she got fucking caught.
Indeed.
That's how that works, folks. Let's just call it out. She doesn't feel bad for what she did. That's not how this shit works. Raz and I worked around criminals for, a number of years. Very rarely are people really truly. No. I'm not going to say rarely, but there are a multitude of instances where people are really not sorry for what they did. They're only sorry because they got caught.
Indeed. Said she was very remorseful over her alleged crimes, adding mental illness clouded her judgment. She has spent her life helping others. She was charged for the tuition and fee payments as well as charitable donations, and she controlled several of the school's credit union accounts during her time at the school. Kruper allegedly diverted money into the St. James Convent account and the St. James Savings account to pay for expenses that the order would not approve, much less pay for, including large gambling expenses incurred at casinos and certain credit card charges. She also allegedly admitted to falsifying monthly and annual financial reports for the board to cover the theft and, quote, lulled St. James School and the administration into believing the school's finances were being properly accounted for and its financial assets properly safeguarded, which in turn allowed defendant Kruper to maintain her access and control of the school's finances and accounts and thus continue operating the fraudulent scheme, end quote. The school has not commented on the charges. The two charges carry a maximum sentence of 40 years. Dear Lord. Question of the day is, how much time will she actually get? I'm saying maybe a year. Maybe.
Man.
Dear Lord. Okay. Maybe it's a goddamn nun, man. Come on, you're supposed to. People wonder why churches have such a bad rap to deal with stuff. It's like, come on.
Yep. Well, I mean, that just goes to show you everybody's capable of being a dick.
Yeah. Well, the next one's being reported out of the Osceola News. Naked Osceola woman tased after destroying Outback, Mojo Grill, and Rampage. I've never understood that people get so angry they get naked. You know what I mean? I'm so angry that I'm going to strip.
Yeah, that's actually never even been one of the available options in my menu of things to do while angry. Even when flaming mad, I've never thought to take off my clothing. And even then, I'm flaming mad.
Oh my lord, I found the video. People have video of this happening. I'm finding images and videos of it all of a sudden. An Osceola woman was charged with aggravated battery after being found naked and erratically throwing alcohol bottles at Outback and Mojo Grill near Silver Springs. The Osceola Police Department officers responded to the Mojo Grill on Silver Springs Boulevard because of reports of a 53-year-old Tina Kynard acting out of control. The report stated the female was topless and banging on tables and windows. Kindred had flipped over a few tables and was last seen trying to get into a customer's car. Kindred was found driving recklessly in the parking lot before exiting the parking lot, according to the sheriff's report. Prior to arriving at Mojo Grill, another call was received of a similar incident. The call was from the Outback Steakhouse on the same road. The call reported Kindred arrived naked and acting crazy. I think arriving naked, encompasses the acting crazy. I don't think you have to have them as two separate things. While breaking things in the bar, the officer on scene opened the front door of the business and saw glass and liquor all over the bar. Kindred was found naked with bottles in her hands. When she noticed the officer, she drew her arm back with a bottle of liquor in her hands. Kindred then threw the bottle at the officer, and the officer was able to dodge it. The second bottle was thrown at the officer's head and touched his arm, leaving alcohol residue on him. Oh no, he got splashed. Kindred threw another bottle and approached the officer as he was yelling, "Get on the ground." The officer used his taser. It says taser 7. I don't know what that means. Maybe 7 times in an attempt to defuse the situation. Kindred lowered to the floor and the officer used a 1 5-second cycle with the taser 7. I don't know what a taser 7 is. And Kindred put her hands behind her back. Kindred was placed in handcuffs and transported to the Advent Health for treatment. The exact dollar amount of the damages is unknown, but the report stated the expected total will be in the thousands of dollars. Kindred said she chose Mojo Grill because of the owner and felt as if he was not honest. She admitted she entered the business, but claimed she was denied business, so she started turning tables. Kindred admitted to going inside Outback with the intent to destroy the bar. Wow. When Kindred was transported to Advent Health, the medical staff discovered she had a possible fentanyl patch in her pubic area. Oh, dear Lord. But it was later found that she did not have any narcotics in her system except THC. Kindred was charged with aggravated battery on law enforcement and felony criminal mischief. Kindred was transported to the Marion County on June 1st with a bond set at $5,000. Her court date is set for July 6th at 9 a.m. Jail records show she has not been released. Okay, so the aggravated battery on law enforcement, that'll go away. The felony criminal mischief, that'll probably get pled down to a misdemeanor with restitution, I had to guess, but yeah. You notice they didn't put in there indecent exposure or anything. They kind of just left that out there.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. So, real quick, man, I looked up what a Taser 7 is.
Okay.
And the Taser 7 CQ is built to support close quarters cartridges, which allows its probes to reach optimal spread when deployed as close as 4 feet. Backup shot. The Taser 7 CQ's backup shot removes the need to manually reload and improve safety and performance in the case of a missed shot or clothing disconnect. They also connect to something called the Axon network, which allows them to do something.
So Taser isn't the name of the company anymore. The company's name is Axion, and everything that Axion does with the video and the audio from the tasers is kept in a cloud-based system. It's Axion. The 7 just must be a newer model that I'm not familiar with.
Right.
I was certified on a bunch of them. Not a bunch, 3, but I'm watching video of the incident right now. The bottle didn't even come anywhere near the dude. You just took a step back and it fell in front of him. So yeah, that definitely gets tossed.
Hey, they got to throw it in there, see if it'll stick.
Well, they always throw that one in there. I have a problem with that when they charge people with assaulting an officer when it's not an assault. Anyway, have you ever been so mad though that you got naked?
No.
I mean, I've wanted to throw stuff and flip tables, but I never thought of I gotta get my dick out right now.
Yeah. No. That's again, we discussed it earlier before you even read the article, man. Like, that's not even in my available queue. Like that situation, anger plus nudity, that's like it's a do not compute moment. Like, it doesn't fit in the algorithm.
Well, let's go to our main event of the day. I couldn't believe this was real. I really couldn't. This is being reported by NBCnews.com. GOP Representative Gomert suggests altering Moon's orbit to combat climate change. Let's just stop right there, Buck. You have not read this article, correct?
Negative.
What do you think this could possibly mean? Keeping in mind that this is a United States senator. Somebody who is supposed to be leading our country with their knowledge and wisdom. Knowing that and knowing how that headlines can sometimes be misleading, what would you suspect that this article is about?
Well, I think that we are about to discover that this man is also the head of a chapter for the Flat Earth Society, and they have deduced that the circular and orbital shape of the moon and the way that it circles around and does its thing and somehow impact how the weather on the Earth is reported over the flat surfaces due to the circular nature of the moon. And that's,
well,
I can't even continue to make up some bullshit because it's just so preposterous.
Well,
I have no fucking clue.
Before we get to the story, you touched on something. You said about flat Earth, and I am, for the first time, going to give the definitive answer to any rebuttal for anybody who believes the Earth is flat. You currently live in Virginia. I lived on the East Coast, up and down. One of the biggest things you will see starting around Virginia, if you're heading south, what's the one thing you're going to see constantly as you head south through Virginia?
The sky.
You're going to see it in Virginia. You're going to get into North Carolina, and then you're going to see it like every quarter mile. You're going to see a billboard. What's that billboard going to say?
I have no idea.
South of the border. There is a tourist trap on the North Carolina-South Carolina line. It's just in the South Carolina. It's called South of the Border. There's all these billboards like every quarter mile the entire way that says, Pedro says go to south of the border. You're this far away from south of the border. And it is ridiculous. You will see hundreds and hundreds, no joke, of these billboards for south of the border. And there is nothing. It is literally a gigantic truck stop with all these Mexico related tchotchkes and truck stop fair. And it's, the biggest thing everyone in that area has is a bumper sticker on their car that says south of the border. They took, the geographical fact that they owned property on the South Carolina side of the line, right, that you could throw a rock into North Carolina, and they called it south of the border. They marketed it. It's it's not much more than a truck stop, but everyone stops there. You got to stop and see Pedro. It's south of the border. That being said, I think capitalism proves unequivocally that the earth is round, because if there was an edge of the earth, there would be a tourist trap there, and it would be a tourist destination.
It would be. I agree.
I
agree.
Just like in Game of Thrones, I want to piss off the edge of the earth.
Yep.
So, that debunks flat earthers, and I have done that here on the Social Liability Podcast. Let it be known that Raz has debunked the Flat Earth Society. Now, let's move into this nonsensical rigmarole. Representative Louis Gohmert, a Republican from Texas, suggested a congressional hearing that climate change could be combated by altering the orbit of the moon, and asked the United States Forest Service whether whether there was any way the agency could do it. Let me reread that again. The United States Postal Service officials, whether there was any way the agency could do it. Let me just clean it up there. Okay. Gohmert made these comments Tuesday during a House Natural Resources Committee hearing on 4 bills as he questioned Jennifer Eberlein, an Associate Deputy Chief of the Forest Service. Quote, I understand what's been testified to the Forest Service and the BLM. You want very much to work on the issues of climate change, end quote, referring to the Bureau of Land Management, by the way, not the Black Lives Matter movement. I was informed by the immediate past director of NASA that they found that the moon's orbit is changing slightly, and so is the Earth's orbit around the sun. We know there's been significant solar flare activity, and so is there anything the National Forest Service or the BLM can do to change the course of the moon's orbit or the Earth's orbit around the sun? Obviously, that would have profound effects on our climate.
And he's asking the fucking Forest Service?
Yes. Eberlein responded smiling, quote, I would have to follow up with you on that one, Mr. Gohmert. If you figure out there's a way in the Forest Service you can make that change, I'd like to know, Mr. Gohmert said. Representative Ted Lieu, a Democrat from California, offered his own solution to Gohmert on Twitter on Wednesday, suggested that the Marvel Comics character Captain Marvel could handle the job. She can alter planetary orbits with her superpowers. I'm going to work on a bipartisan resolution asking her for help. After the immediate past director of NASA, Gohmert referred to it in his landmarks. That would probably be Jim Bittelstein, a former member of Congress from Oklahoma who had been a climate change skeptic who argued years ago that humans aren't responsible for global warming. Global temperature changes, when they exist, correlate with a sun output and ocean cycles. He said that position had evolved by 2017 when then-President Donald Trump nominated him to be NASA's administrator. The Washington Post after having heard from the experts and reading up on the topic, I came to the conclusion myself that the carbon monoxide is a greenhouse gas and that we've put a lot of it into the atmosphere, and therefore we've contributed to global warming that we've seen. Oh my Lord. It does go on a little bit, but I mean, the crux of it is this dude's actually, hey, can you work on changing the orbit of the planet and the moon to the Forest Service? Can you imagine testifying before Congress and having a fucking congressman ask you that?
I would have asked him, "Do you know who just shit in my underpants?" Like, oh, this guy's seen Armageddon too many times. Like, just because you're in the government doesn't mean that you have the authority to make up solutions and actually have them work.
All right, we gotta fight climate change. Get me Bruce Willis.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. Jeez. And he was confident enough that he said this in open committee in Congress. Oh my God.
Like, he said this in front of other people, is what you're saying.
Just in general, yes. Just other people in general.
Like, somebody didn't catch him rehearsing a speech in front of a mirror, and now they're just like quoting his makeup rants in front of a mirror. No, this actually happened.
This actually happened.
Yes. Okay. Just for context, thank you.
Indeed. People voted for this man.
Right.
Whatever your belief on climate change is, it doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. This motherfucker actually thought we could change the orbit of the Earth and the moon. We're just going to build a giant engine and mount it to Iowa and fire it off.
You know, this just in, Raz. He was. There were inquiries as to how do you propose to get the funding to even draw up a solution, and the representative was quoted as saying, "We'll talk to Scrooge McDuck."
He's got it in his money bin. Oh my Lord. Buck, we've had some stupid mothers on this show, dude, but that one takes the freaking cake.
Yeah. Well, I mean, granted, we've had people who are certainly guilty of doing some things that I would have no problem calling them dumber. However, this man takes the cake merely because of the fact that he is an elected official. This is a man in a position of authority and power.
In leadership.
And asserting.
Leadership.
Yeah. And this is what he is going to assert. Okay. You're right. And climate change is the actual problem. Okay.
Okie dokie, artichoke. I mean, geez, man. The fact that you're right.
And,
he said this in front of people. End statement.
Yeah. Next up, folks. We're going to replay exactly what happened, and we're going to call this what happens when a monkey actually tries to fuck a football. And there you will actually have it.
Oh my God. Well, that unfortunately is all we have for this episode, Buck. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to this podcast. Whether it be Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcast, Overcast, Castbox, doesn't matter. If you would like and subscribe, that would be helpful to us. And just tell a friend. That's the one thing we ask. We don't ask you to donate money. We just ask you to help pass the word and get us out there. More people that listen, the better, and the more that we can continue to make episodes like this.
Word.
Well, thank you for your contribution, Buck. That being said, folks, I'm the Raz Grease saying goodbye on behalf of the Buck Rundle, and we'll see you next week on the Social Liability Podcast.